while the heroes of Star Wars tend to be, well, more heroic, for lack of any other better word, the armor and the general looks of the troopers, shall we say, on the Imperial side tend to be better toys. I mean, they look cool, they fit in vehicles, and the fact that they have masks make them very aspirational for kids, because anybody could be a stormtrooper. You could be a stormtrooper. You could be a stormtrooper. I mean, they're basically your faceless army that is ready to, defend the Empire, and they're dressed in white. What can I say? They're some of the coolest shock troops in science fiction, and they tend to have a version for every type of environment. There's, of course, also the Imperial officers. Well, they don't exactly have armor. At least they do come in several different flavors: gray, black, white, and I guess red? I don't know. I don't really read too many of the Star Wars comic books. But hey, why not? If stormtroopers can be red in the new Disney movies, why not? Well, I suppose one of the least aspirational and plainest of all the Imperials is this guy. Who is this? This is the scanning crew officer or operator. We see them once, very briefly, two of them in A New Hope, the 1977 film, when they're brought to scan the Millennium Falcon when it lands on the Death Star. And, of course, any key scene in Star Wars, what we love to do with it the most is recreated in action figure form. And while these characters are probably some of the, shall we say, plainest, I guess least exciting, hey, it was a scene in the original Star Wars, and that means that, well, fans really want one. I mean, they are kind of linked to the only time a stormtrooper is ever called out by name on screen, TK-421, which has now become like the TK numbers in Mandalorian. So, hey, Star Wars history. But, yeah, as a toy, I can't say this is the most exciting thing ever. I mean, it's like a guy in a white jumpsuit with a black belt. Now, it is unique as far as Imperial officers, as far as the boots and the fact that he has a white-gray outfit and a black hat. That's unique. No other Imperial officers look like that. So I could see, when you're getting your mass of Imperials. Never came on a single card, though, like that. The only way to get the scanning crew member in Power of the Force was as an inclusion with the Millennium Falcon carrying case. Now, you may be saying, well, wait a minute, we already have a Millennium Falcon carrying case, and if you're saying that, you're correct. You're technically correct, which is the best kind of correct you could be. The Millennium Falcon carrying case originally came with Wedge Antilles, who has nothing to do with the Millennium Falcon, nor did he ever go into the Millennium Falcon or use it in any of the movies. And, of course, he was also released with the wrong paint deco on his helmet and had to be quickly changed. But, hey, at least we got a Wedge. And it was a Wedge in a snowspeeder outfit, so that was pretty cool, too. It'd be years, decades, until we actually got an update of Wedge in a snowspeeder outfit. So this would have to last. And essentially, the included Wedge was just swapped out for an included Imperial scanning crew trooper. And he got a lot more unique parts than Wedge did, where Wedge was just a new head on the existing Luke X-Wing, even though it's Luke Snowspeeder, but on the package it called Luke and X-Wing. And he got packed in the exact same way. You could see him through the cockpit in the blister. That is one of the oddest shaped blisters of any Star Wars action figure. I mean, yeah, I don't even know where you start with this, but I mean, it looks like it was almost like hand cut with a scissor or something, like someone was like paper macheing and slipped it in, but I guess it has to be exactly on that type of background in order to fit inside of the cockpit in the carrying case. So, army building. The other big thing about Star Wars Imperials is that we love to get tons of them, especially because, as I said, most of them have masks. And Imperial officers and now scanning crew members, even though they're unmasked, hey, you saw two of them on screen, so there's got to be more than two on the Death Star. Wouldn't that be funny if there were only two? And they were the ones that got called. There's like, we need a scale. Well, we only have two. Let's send them. I'm sure they have others. They probably have multiple scanning crews, right? Because they're always scanning things with their box, which is what he comes with. He comes with a box. Again, one of the most generic Star Wars accessories, but it's actually cool to have Star Wars boxes because, I mean, heck, if you just watch The Mandalorian, it seems like there's always these things like around in streets and on corners and in dockyards. The scanning crew member was so popular that fans actually demanded that he be re-released. And finally, after years, Hasbro did do this as part of the original trilogy collection, which was a little bit of a surprise because this figure was very out of date by the time the original trilogy collection shipped. He did get a little bit of an update, different paint job and slightly dirtier outfit, I guess, if you will. It wasn't bright white, it had a little bit more darker grays, and we'll obviously get to this figure in time when we cover it as we go figure by figure on this series. But hey, it was cool to have two. And there were other attempts to get two Imperial scanning crew members out. So there was a while, especially during the Legacy collection, when Hasbro was releasing multiples of the same figure with a head swap. So they did this with Ugnaughts, and they also did this with the Bespin Wingguard, first offering the African-American one, or the black version. I know people don't like when I say African-American, because there's no Africa or America in Star Wars. And then an alien one, which both were odd, because the alien one was never on screen, only in behind-the-scenes footage. They tried this with the scanning crew member, and they actually split up a brand new scanning crew box where the top half and the bottom half would ship with two different ones. Unfortunately, this never happened. It was the only one that the second version didn't ship. So we did wind up with three now scanning crew members, two of them the same mold from Power of the Force 2, and now one with a more updated kind of vintage collection-esque articulation. But he only came with half the scanning crew box. The second one that was supposed to ship in a new assortment, a refresh, never came out. But leave it to Hasbro. They did solve this by shuffling the missing scanning crew member along to a Kmart 2-pack. In fact, two 2-packs that were both the Imperial scanning crew, and one came with a Stormtrooper, and one came with an Imperial officer, both unique. In fact, that Stormtrooper is incredibly unique. We'll get to that in time. So it was a really cool pack. And now you had two definitive, completely different Imperial scanning crew members with unique head sculpts. So not only that, but now you got finally the bottom half of the box. So that top half that you got with the single-carded scanning crew member could finally have its mate, and you could make the entire scanning crew equipment thingy. I don't even know what it is. We still haven't gotten a vintage collection version, but it's crazy. This figure, as plain as he is, has been so popular that fans have been asking for re-releases for years. And whether it's because of the pivotal scene in A New Hope, or the fact that it's the only Imperial wearing a sort of grayish-white outfit with a black hat, makes him stand out in your Imperial officer collection. And the fact that we have like 5 different ones at this point just shows the power of Star Wars.